I'm Iranian. My parents are both from Iran. They came after the Iranian Revolution, and my dad came before, my mom came after. It's just, I don't know, like our culture is very different than what people see in the news, and they don't really see much of our culture at all. I don't know, it's very similar. There's like these things that every culture has that are very similar. Like, we love food, and we love dancing, screaming, and making music. So I like to do all those things as well.
Can you describe what wanting to be white is?
I don't know, like I used to think I've been told my whole life Persians are white, or basically white. Like Middle Easterns are basically white. So, and we're legally known as being white. So every time I take a standardized test, I put white instead of other, because there's no Middle East section. And I don't know, I just, like I had to Google person of color and understand what person of color meant before I could even understand. I was like, is that internalized to think that, oh, that everything I go through is what every other person goes through, but it's not. And my experiences weren't valued, but now they are. Because there's really no answers to deal with that yet. I feel like every person's struggle with assimilating and struggle with finding out their identity and who they are is too personal to have like a piece of paper saying what you should do.
Can you describe your tattoo a little bit?
So my mom's name is in Farsi, and it's the roots of a lily, and a lily is a flower that represents grief, and it's growing along my arm, and I just dignified that as like her death was, like, it's just one loss that keeps repeating. And like through that grief I grew to be who I am today, and wasn't so pretty as a lily was, but it's, I don't know, it's part of the journey. It's really cliche to say, but I got a tattoo because my mom was my best friend. I love her more than anything in this world, and it's therapeutic in a way to get like her name on my body at all times.
And you mentioned vulnerability and to always stay vulnerable. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's more exploring my toxic masculinity as a younger kid. One of the poems was about my father, and he made some mistakes, and I took those so personally that I tried to be exactly not my father, like the exact opposite. And I still had toxic masculinity, and I didn't like the person I was becoming, and I was told to always be a man, be the man of the house. And I decided, I think part of what our culture tells us to be a man today is to diminish that vulnerability. And I don't know, being vulnerable is scary, and it's really hard, and I feel like whenever you try to strive to be better and be whoever you want to be, it's always going to be a hard thing to do. It's always going to be a challenge, so why not challenge myself?
How did you come to using poetry as your outlet?
When I was younger, I'd write lyrics and songs and raps, and I produced music, and I always thought music was a good outlet for me. And so when I listen to like Kendrick Lamar, Pro Era, like these other rappers, I don't listen to it only as a rap song. I listen to it as a piece of poetry and what they're saying, and the way they use alliteration, the way they use their words and their diction, and how it's truly an art form, I think. And so that's always been a nice outlet to just like even listen to that music. And then I started writing when I was really young, but never really found validity in my voice until later. Until I started writing for like the collegiate and stuff, and understand that my voice is being heard, and it doesn't sound that bad either, so why not? I'm coming back with a book of poems called Butterfly Crossing, and it talks about loss, love, addiction, being a man of color, and confronting masculinity and things like that, and the death of my mom as well, and overcoming that. So it's just a book about personal growth, and doesn't necessarily mean that I'm better now or that everything's fine. It's just that it's more okay to not be okay.
All right, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.